artificial intelligence is, I don't get it, but I know it matters. And I have a very 30,000 foot understanding of it, but I know that it matters for business reasons, for national security reasons. It's a really, really, really big deal. Hopefully, Joe can explain it in a little bit more detail than that. Are we falling behind? Have we fallen behind? What's the future of all this? Joining me now, Joe Allen, author of the book Dark Eon. Okay, Joe, AI. Where are we as a country versus China, versus Russia, versus the other places out there?
Well, Jesse, despite all of the mythology around it, I think the U.S. is ahead of everyone, including China. China's catching up, but largely due to technology transfer and IP theft. Other nations are also scrambling to catch up. There are a lot of operations in Israel, in Europe. Russia has programs. They're not impressive so far as anyone knows. What we're seeing in this AI race, though, it's definitely a scramble to achieve some sort of human level intelligence that would almost immediately move beyond into superhuman levels of intelligence. Now, I think there's every reason to be skeptical if that as to whether that is possible, but the drive itself, the fact that we are seeing so much capital, so much effort to rearrange the infrastructure to provide power for these systems, that the people at the top of the food chain, that being all the big tech guys, from Mark Zuckerberg to the guys at Google, to the guys at Microsoft, OpenAI, XAI, on and on and on, these guys believe that they are creating some sort of godlike entity. And as Elon Musk noted yesterday, he said this many times, that the systems that they believe they're building will be smarter than the smartest human on the planet, and then in short order be smarter than all humans on the planet. It's ultimately a religious belief system, but it's a religious belief system with very, very tangible evidence that their anticipated miracles might actually come into existence.
Okay, so Joe, I hate to ask you to dumb down something you know so much more about than I do, but I understand the concept of being able to gather up all these facts, all these things from everywhere, and have a computer smart enough to compute them and come up with answers for things and things like that. But are we at the place where it can gather up all this information and then expand on it? Are we already there, or is that where they're trying to go?
Definitely not there. Definitely trying to go there. It's been said that AI as it exists today, the large language models and image generators, they're kind of like a JPEG file in that they compress a lot of data down into something that's very efficient and streamlined. You also have a lot of problems with the hallucinations still, so that you ask an AI something and it just begins rambling on about non-existent things with a kind of air of authority, providing fake links, all of that. But that's a minority of cases. In the majority of cases, it's somewhat accurate. The dream, and no one knows what the breakthrough will be exactly, but the dream is that you would take all of that compressed data and you would then have, as you just said, a system that would be able to arrive at novel formulas in physics, or be able to put together pieces of information to arrive at a new engineering design, something like that. These systems right now rely on previous human contributions to knowledge, and they just make it easier to access. But it should also be noted that ChatGPT or Grok or any of these systems, that they do produce novel outputs from that knowledge. In that sense, you could say that they are doing something creative. It's kind of like a derivative artist or a derivative writer who just basically weaves together things that other people have said, but does so in a novel way.
Joe, what's Nvidia and why are they spending $500 billion? That's a lot of cheddar.
Yeah, Nvidia was really a kind of marginal company until their graphics processing units, the chips that are necessary to train these big AI systems. Those chips, when it was discovered that they were very effective at training AI, suddenly the company rocketed in value. Their output and their engineering designs became much more sophisticated due to that. And so NVIDIA, kind of out of nowhere, became one of the largest tech companies in the world. And of course, they plan to open up operations now in Arizona and in Texas to build a chip manufacturing plant and data centers. So they're going to be very, very important. And the reason that Trump and the investors in the U.S. are courting them, trying to bring them into the U.S., is that most, if not the vast majority of chips needed to train AI come from Taiwan. And you see the tension there. For a long time, China has been kind of threatening to move on Taiwan. If they were to do so, that would leave, at least for a while, the U.S. high and dry, and we would have to scramble to come up with the manufacturing infrastructure to build the chips ourselves. It's all part of this AI race. It's kind of an arms race. It's again, it's positioned as if it's the U.S. against China, and it is. But I think that the more important arms race is between U.S. companies like XAI and OpenAI.
Shouldn't we be happy about that arms race between companies? Doesn't that make the product better in the spirit of capitalism and all that?
You know, on its face, sure. But if you look at the statements from Elon Musk, from Sam Altman, from Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, and even the more skeptical types like Jan LeCun at Meta AI, all of them foresee in the very near future, again, that dream of artificial general intelligence, a machine that can think better than any human being on Earth, and then eventually super intelligence machine that can think better than all human beings on Earth. The goal, openly stated by all of these people and widely ignored, is to create systems that will ultimately replace the economic roles of every human being in the world except for those in control of the system. They openly talk about replacing first all coders, then all white collar workers, and then all blue collar workers with advanced robotics. And the result for us, the rabble on the ground, is that we're promised that this will lead to radical abundance and we'll all be able to get universal basic income or universal high income, basically meaning we're all relegated to being on welfare with no negotiating power whatsoever. Now, again, this is a dream. We're moving towards something like that. Whether that will happen or not, it's anyone's guess, and many people are guessing and making a lot of money from their guesses. But what I think is really important to remember is that all of these people, the wealthiest men on earth, are openly saying that they look forward to a greater replacement. They want to see some at first and then all human labor just completely vaporized by automation. Knowing that, pretty much anything else that they might say, you should understand that it is not necessarily you that they're interested in and your benefits and your satisfaction in life. What they're looking for is money. What they're looking for is power, and they're willing to acquire these things at the expense of basically every human being on earth. Doesn't mean you have to believe that they will actually achieve it. It's just the same as if communists said, we are going to take over your society, equalize all of the roles, and provide the working class with a better life. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything like that. You just know that they are willing to completely restructure everything around their ideology. And you also know historically that it's probably not going to be in your benefit.
Amen. Joe, thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.